Those universities, they were great, you know. You learned to write, you learned to think, you learned history, you learned to be cultured. That happened. It wasn't that long ago. What did you conclude about your time in Columbia University?
It was a complete madness. I became very pessimistic about the Western world after university. I'm a rape survivor, I'm a slave. I gone through so many things and they say, oh, this can trigger the rape, this can trigger this. Before the class, they say, let's go through what do you want to be called, your pronouns. And my English is not that good. I sometimes mistakenly call him or she, like, it makes me so nervous to talk in the classroom. And that 4 years, I learned to censor myself all over again. Censor myself all over again. I found it was not worth it. It was a waste of time, energy, and money.
Those universities, they were great, you know. You learned to write, you learned to think, you learned history, you learned to be cultured. That happened. It wasn't that long ago. Now, did you have courses where that wasn't the case? Did you have courses that were worth it?
Every class had an element of being a politically correct and shaping you how you think. And I learned how to censor myself so well at the Columbia, and then I was freaked out one day, like, what am I doing? This is not what I escaped, you know. Exactly, like I literally risked my life to say what I think is right, and it gave me a lot of chaos. Like, did I become free? Like, was it, where am I? Is there any truly free place in this world right now? Is there any truly free place in this world right now?
Those universities, they were great, you know. You learned to write, you learned to think, you learned history, you learned to be cultured. That happened. It wasn't that long ago. You know, it's no picnic to watch these great institutions hang themselves.
I literally felt like it's a suicide of civilization. Like, we are killing ourselves here. We are killing ourselves here.
Those universities, they were great, you know. You learned to write, you learned to think, you learned history, you learned to be cultured. That happened. It wasn't that long ago.
Freedom is so fragile, like it's never gonna be there if you don't fight for it. Imagine when nobody's free in this world, who's gonna fight for us? And that's like what terror for me is like, imagine all of us became enslaved, like North Koreans, all of us did in that system. There's no one can stand up for any of us. In the West, freedom was always there. Somehow people think it's gonna be miraculously gonna be always there. And for me, it's like, no, it can be not there.
That's why we were supposed to be educating young people. We were supposed to be teaching them that, no, it's not always there. It's fragile, and you better take care of it, because the default condition is authoritarian starvation. And if that isn't happening, it's a bloody miracle. How blind can we possibly be? How blind can we possibly be? Those universities, they were great, you know. You learned to write, you learned to think, you learned history, you learned to be cultured. That happened. It wasn't that long ago.
So either we become forever enslaved to this totalitarianism, or we break off the cycle. And I don't know, like, I can never be that person recklessly say we're gonna win in this battle. And to me, this is a very dangerous state we are all in, collectively, everywhere in this world, that we are not safe from this devil, you know, communism. Communism.
I gotta ask you again. Wasn't there at least one course that you took there,
Yeah.
taught by someone that taught you what you wanted to learn?
One course. Where
You should know. Like if there was, you'd know. You'd know. If there was, you'd know. You'd know. If there was, you'd know.